Welcome to the finals, the chaotic traversal of Titanfall 2 with the vibe of that "this is fine" meme. Imagine if CSGO, Valorant, and Overwatch had a baby. Do not ask me how it has 3 parents. And that baby decided that it was going to blow up literally everything in sight just because it can. You'd probably have something like the finals. A first-person shooter with great mobility, destructive environments, with 2 pretty common game types along with 1 unique one. I remember playing the beta with my friends and having the most fun I've had in a shooter in a long time. I thought this was going to be like the next big thing that everybody was going to play, but it seems not everyone shares that same sentiment. I want this game to succeed, so I wanted to kind of take a look and see why it's got such a low player count. I mean, what happened to the finals? Firstly, let's take a look at this exhilarating trailer.
Game show.
That's right. Skyway Stadium has loaded and our contestants are ready. Time for the big match. The chase is on. They need to deposit that cash box.
They sure do, June. That's not a cash-out station.
Talk about putting your money where their mouth is. Ouch!
There's one. That cash-out will take time to complete. Maybe they can destroy their way out of trouble here. Whoa! What a move!
No doubt about it, Scotty. We've got strategies in play.
Look at this! It's a trap!
Uh-oh.
That dropped the day that the open beta went live last October. Embark dropped this open beta trailer during the Game Awards and Shadow dropped the beta that night. I instantly downloaded it and got hooked, and then I got a couple of friends to join me and we played every day of the beta. Again, this was the most real fun that I've had playing an FPS since I played Hunt Showdown for the first time a couple years ago. The rush I would get sniping people flying across rooftops or dashing around with the sword was unmatched in just about any game. My buddy was playing heavy with the shoulder charge and would take out all 4 walls of the first floor and bring the whole building tumbling down. And you could use C4 charges to plant them underneath the enemy team or the cash out and bring it down to your level at the last second for a sneaky little steal.
I'm a slither those knives. I'm like slither.
That beta was one of my favorite weeks of gaming in 2023, and when it was over, we talked about how much we missed the finals. We went back to playing Hunt Showdown or League of Legends, and we said, man, I missed the finals. And I would Google it about once a week just to see if there's been any sort of update on a release date. And then on December 7th, 2023, just like the beta, they shadow dropped the release trailer in the game that day. I sent the trailer to my friends, and it was a date. We all got home from our respective jobs, hopped on Discord, and we started playing the finals. And we had a blast that night as well, or at least I did. While I thought everybody was having a good time, the energy was a little bit different. Some of the people I was playing with kept saying that it didn't feel the same as the beta. They would say things like, man, I swear they nerfed this. Or, this doesn't feel the same as the beta. Yet the patch notes did show some nerfs, but not towards the things that they were complaining about. Regardless, I mean, I was still having fun. I know I still couldn't kill a heavy with a full clip from the SMG or the AK to save my life, but I didn't let that hinder me from having a good time. Now, unlike the beta, after a couple of play sessions, I could not get anyone to play the finals with me anymore. I had to play solo, and man, that game solo kinda does suck. The amount of coordination that you get with a pre-made team is a huge advantage to have. Not to mention that the games are more fun with friends anyways. But I kept playing because I liked the game, and not as much as I enjoyed playing with friends, but I would still play a few matches about every day for the first week. And then I just kind of forgot about it. Now this next bit I'll keep short and I won't get too detailed, but me and the boys all had some shit going down in our lives last December. My mom had passed away, and my normal gaming crew had their own personal life events happening, and we all ended up doing what everyone does when they feel like a sad sack of shit. Play League of Legends. And that was the end of my time with the finals until Season 2, when I was doom scrolling on YouTube and saw this trailer pop up on my feed.
The clock is counting down, and the Retros need to make a move to avoid getting knocked out.
Indeed, the socialites are defending hard and has... are you messing with this
There
room?
seems to be...
Are you ready for something else? We are fearless, and we are here to change the game.
Placing a gateway!
Reshaping.
Reversing gravity! Apologies, we seem to be having some technical but one thing's for certain,
It will be fun.
take the platform!
Like a crack addict with the dealer across the street, I ran over, I booted up my PC, started playing the finals. I checked out that new game mode, which was essentially the push mode on Overwatch, which I do enjoy, but ew, Overwatch, where the free-to-play strat is set the microtransaction knob up to Wumbo.
It's set to M for mini, when it should be set to W for Wumbo.
Speaking of which, let's talk briefly about the monetization in the finals. They have a battle pass that'll set you back about $10, but in that battle pass, if you complete it, you will get some of the most detailed, awesome cosmetics that you won't find in almost any other game without paying $20+, which I just unlocked the yellow Power Ranger Samurai skin, and that thing is sick. On top of that, they give you more than enough game currency called multi-bucks to buy the next season pass. So theoretically, you could buy one season pass, get all of the cool stuff, and pay for the next season pass and get all that cool stuff. And then pay for the next season pass and get all that stuff. I like it when companies actually reward people for completing the battle pass with the ability to buy the next one. You also get enough that you could buy most things in the store. So if you wanted to buy 1500 multi-buck item instead of the next battle pass, you could basically get a free 1500 multi-buck skin along with the other emotes, charms, weapon skins, and accessories that you get from the battle pass. They also have a main theme with each battle pass, and inside of that battle pass will have sub-themes throughout the segments of 10 levels. Other than that, you can buy pretty much anything in the contestant customization menu, or you can use their store, which will give you some bundles and sales. The store also has a light FOMO, but nothing as bad as Fortnite. Every single thing is cosmetic. There's no pay to win. And yes, they also have some $20 skins, but the quality of these are far better than most other games, with the exception of potentially Fortnite and some of the Call of Duty skins. But way better value than Overwatch. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, so I'm playing this new game mode where they brought out in Season 2 where there's a platform and each team has to try to get it to the opposite side of the map by gaining and maintaining control of that platform. I remember absolutely slaughtering people in this game mode, and I would take screenshots of my scores and share them with my friends in Discord. This mode was also the only 5v5 mode, so I had to convince even more people to play. I kept posting these end-game screens, and after a couple days, we had a round 2 of Finals Fever, where we had a good 5-man stack and we had another great time. This time, with more people and new gadgets that got introduced, we played quite a bit for about another week or two until, again, I was the only one playing. Eventually, I got tired of playing solo and I took another break from the finals. And midway through Season 2, they added a new 5v5 CSGO/Valorant style defend, plant, defuse type game mode, which I am the only one of my friends that actually liked Valorant, so I could not convince anybody to play that, and I sure as hell was not going to solo queue that. So I just left that one alone. But that announcement did get me back into the finals, playing the Power Shift game mode again for a couple more weeks by myself. And then again, kind of just forgot about the finals until this week. I was playing Hunt Showdown with this huge streamer called Josh Mad.
Oh, that hurt. Ouch. You can see that shot that you made if you go to twitch.tv/Joshman.
Who had been streaming for about 8 hours or so when someone invited us to play the finals and take a break from Hunt. And damn, that was so much fun again.
Yeah, it ain't no Hunt Showdown, all right? It ain't no Hunt Showdown.
Sniping. He said, maybe I shouldn't be sniping. Absolutely, he limbs every person he sees.
Oh, was that me? It's crazy. I'm kidding. I actually don't know where they came from. I'll turn off the attitude because I really... it's probably not going to continue, but we'll see.
It's like that Always Sunny.
Wow.
Summon the fact that I am a man.
Does someone like to have fun in a game? All right. All right. Interesting. Novel concept.
Keep playing casuals, or do we just want to jump straight into fucking competitive?
I like whatever that was.
I'll tell you one thing, not going to play casual a day in my life.
There were a couple times where we were all like, man, I'm having so much fun right now. And that's not a phrase that gets said very much. A video game where we're having fun, and enough fun to mention that we're having fun. On top of that, yeah, we lost some games, and there were some, what the hell moments, crazy sweat lobbies, but at the end of the day, they were all still fun. So what's the deal? I remember getting on Twitch when the finals was on the first few rows of the browse screen, and now it's been replaced by things like Helldivers and X-Defiant, and eventually you couldn't even see the finals without scrolling down a bit. And then a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more, and now it sits around just a few hundred viewers on average. And maybe that's part of the issue. More fun games came out, and it took place of the finals. Helldivers was also a game that was short-lived on my Steam friends list, but every moment we had was fun. Now that game has its own problems, but maybe that's another video. X-Defiant is the newest competitive FPS that got a lot of attention from the try-hard competitive scene, so the fun players and the sweaty players all had found respective games to play. The people that played for fun were off having fun killing their teammates with stratagems, while the more competitive players had found a game that has better competitive support than the finals. I've also seen some people say they got burnt out while playing the same map over and over. Embark has added a couple new maps, and all the maps are pretty well designed and 100% destructible. This complaint isn't quite acceptable to me personally because a lot of games have limited maps. Fortnite has one map that only changes once per season. Hunt Showdown has like 2 or 3 maps, plus the only one during this new update. League of Legends has 1 map for its primary game mode. Apex Legends has about 5 maps for their Battle Royale mode. So I'm not sure if map diversity is a real excuse for low player counts. And I've heard people complaining about not being able to even run the game. And while the game runs fine on my machine, I can see how this could totally cook someone else's PC. The graphics look really good, and you can definitely see the dive devs going to work on this. The environments remind me a lot of one of my favorite games growing up, Mirror's Edge. But with ray tracing and high settings this game has, it's unlike any current gen shooter. My only complaint is that when I'm inside a building I can't see outside during the daytime, which I personally complain about, but I've also never been killed from a sniper camping in a window, so maybe that was on purpose. There's also this weird trend that Embark have of changing recoil patterns. There's a lot of recoil pattern changes when I was going through some patch notes. That makes it really hard for casual players who don't go to the shooting range after every patch to learn all the new recoil patterns for their favorite guns. It makes it hard to stay consistent using a particular weapon if the recoil pattern changes every few patches. Besides these issues, I'm curious to see what people in the Steam reviews have to say. Bad team average based, skill based matchmaking. Here's a hot take, but I think it's okay to not have skill based matchmaking in any game mode that is not ranked. There's too many people who only get to play 1 to 2 games a night that don't want to try to grind against people who play 8 to 9 hours a day. Plus, if you ask me, if you want to show your rank, you should be going up against harder opponents. We don't need Twitch streamer sweats in there annihilating the dad who just put his kids to bed and wants to get a couple games in before he has to do it all over again tomorrow. And someone said that lights are too unbalanced and they two-shot a heavy. And I mean, yeah, that's possible, but you have to be really close with the shotgun, like in their face close to get that off. I've also seen a lot of people stating region lock China in their reviews. Most of the time, it's the whole review. I, again, haven't experienced this, so I can't complain about it. One guy was upset because skill issue. Also, he's not the only one complaining of server issues, but I've not experienced a single server issue since launch. I can get into a game within a minute, and it'll be a full game, 5v5, 3v3, v3, just about every time. And Tess Tickle, of all people, had a brilliant point about how they made the CSGO Valorant game mode the main ranked game mode. which I could sympathize with. I mean, what if you loved a game like a League of Legends and they made Earth the new ranked mode, and your account rank was based off of the new mode? Cash Out was the unique spin in this FPS, and they replaced it with a run-of-the-mill CSGO, Valorant, Search Destroy sort of game mode just to try to draw in players from those games, which in a way kind of just slaps your main player base in the face. I mean, Valorant and CSGO have their players. They are loyal players. A lot of CSGO players won't touch Valorant. A lot of Valorant players won't touch CSGO. Why would they go to the finals? Stick with your audience. Anyways, I'm getting off track. These are all different takes from different types of gamers, and I assume that their sentiments are shared by thousands of other players, especially the point that Tickle brought up. On a moral note, I have to acknowledge that yes, Embark used AI to create the voice lines for the characters and the announcers. Now here's my hot take on that. I'm not really all that upset about this. If a voice actor wants to give their likeness and train an AI to do their voice, and they got compensated for doing that, that's their choice. Good for them. The Finals is not a narrative-rich story game anyways. It doesn't have characters that we care about. Those games, I believe, should have real voice actors because they can deliver performances and not just recite a script. The voice lines in the finals are minimal, and Embark said that they could get months of voiceover work done in just a few hours. This isn't to say that they would be recording for months on end, but trying to line up the schedules and get voice actors in and fit time into their schedule, maybe even fly them out to a studio to record and wrap up takes by a certain deadline, that can be very difficult. With that being said, I'm sure that there are some people that won't play the game just because of the use of AI, and nobody can blame them. And finally, let's take a look at some different numbers from different games and different platforms and see what they could mean. First, let's look at the stream numbers. Compared to X-Defiant, Hunt Showdown, Battlefield 2042, and Titanfall. And hey, you keyboard warriors out there, I am not saying that these games are the same thing. I'm not saying that they are equal to one another. These are a few PvP games that have some aspects of the finals, or they're games that me and my friends are playing right now, and so I wanted to compare them to see what the numbers are relative to the finals. Hunt Showdown has exhilarating gunfights, X-Defiant has competitive gameplay, Battlefield is from current DICE developers, and that game has some cool destructive environments, and Titanfall has some really cool addictive movement, which is another one of my favorite parts of the finals. Now, the finals had the lowest peak viewership out of all of them, so it started off with a disadvantage. I think this had something to do with the lack of a really big marketing push, and basically just shadow dropping the game. I had not heard about the finals other than a few YouTubers who had mentioned it on a couple of videos within the last year. And then boom. The trailer drops, the beta's out, and we're playing. Let's get back to the stream numbers. Last week, it was lower than all of them except for Titanfall and Battlefield in terms of average viewers and average channels. I also thought that it was interesting that the finals tends to trend up in viewers in the evening into the late night, and the rest of them tend to stay fairly consistent from about noon until midnight. I have no data analysis, so I can't determine exactly what this could mean, but it is an interesting detail that I thought would be cool to point out. These days, content creators are a big factor in driving interest in games, especially with a game like the finals that didn't have a proper large marketing push. Again, they just dropped the trailer and said that the game was out and people started playing. Lots of bigger creators and streamers aren't making the finals content anymore. I've never seen an ad for the finals on any social media, and I would have never heard of it if it wasn't for a Jack Frags video that came out a few months before the open beta. That's the only reason it was on my radar in the first place. Not to mention that content creators don't make money without views, so if nobody is watching finals content, then it doesn't make much sense to be making content about the finals. But if nobody is making content about the finals, then there is no content for viewers to watch. It's a weird dichotomy that's hard to figure out, and I'm not really quite sure what the answer would be for this. And of course people will say, well, they could just fix the game and then everybody would play. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that. Going back to the review by Tickle, I think that trying to cater to different audiences is not the move. Stick to the unique aspects of the game and make them better, and I think people would start to stick around. Stop changing recoil patterns, and I think people might stick around. Allow a graphical option for potatoes, so that way people can play the game on any machine. And then I think people would stick around. All in all, I want to make it very clear that I do not think that the finals is dead. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I get into games very quickly, and I haven't had a lot of 4v5s or 3v5s unless someone leaves during the match. Now, according to Nexon's Q4 earnings report from last year, the finals outperformed their expectations and they had 10 million players in the first 2 weeks. And you might be saying, well, that doesn't line up with the graphs. Well, I use Twitch and Steam data because that's all I have access to. But the finals is also on console and they don't share their numbers. Also, if you didn't know, the finals was in the top 5 on Steam in the first couple weeks. We don't have any hard data on how much money the finals has brought in. Nexon's revenue was up 4% and it probably would have been higher if it wasn't for a couple of their other franchises not doing too well. But they state many times that the finals was a big success for them. To clarify, again, we do not have any hard data on how much the finals has made. But for fun, let's run some arbitrary numbers and see what could have been. Get your pencils out, nerds, here we go. If they had 10 million players and 20% of them liked it enough to keep playing more than just a couple games, that's 2 million players that probably played throughout the first month. Normally, I would say maybe 10% of people buy battle passes or skins, but I cannot play a game of the finals without at least 50% of players in a match having skins. So we'll compromise and say that a conservative 20% of players have probably spent money on the game. That's 400,000 players, and let's say half only bought the battle pass. That's 200,000 players spending $2 million for the battle pass. And then let's say that 49% of those 400,000 players bought the battle pass and a $10 skin. That's 196,000 players spending about $3.92 million. And then that 1% of players who I saw rocking that last level battle pass skin unlock that we all know you paid for because it's impossible to do that in just a couple hours. That's 4,000 people that spent $100 each to go from 0 to level 96 in the battle pass. That's another $400,000. Adding all that up, you could be looking at $5.92 million in just the first month. Again, those are just numbers that I'm pulling out of my ass, but unless we get some hard data, that's all I got. Speaking of hitting 10 million players, obviously there are way less players right now, averaging around 13 to 14,000 players per day on Steam. Now I'd have to imagine that PlayStation and Xbox players have at least about half of that each, and we're not even 1 year into the life of the game, and it's retaining players relative to other games like Helldivers. Both are hovering around 5% of their peak concurrent player count. I personally can't foresee the game getting shut down anytime soon, and I think that the devs have something great here that they can use as a canvas to build upon and make a really well-received competitive and casual FPS game. So here we are at the end of the video. Thank you if you've made it this far. I'd love to know, have you played the finals? If not, I highly recommend that you go give it a shot. For those of you that have played, what are your thoughts? Do you love it? Hate it? What's your favorite game mode, your favorite character, your favorite weapon? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for sticking around. Good luck, contestants. Until next time. For fuck's sake, dude. Tencent is going to be part of it now, so who knows what's going to happen. I found that out as I was editing over the course of the last few weeks when Nexon released their Q2 2024 earnings, and yeah, Tencent's going to be part of the finals. So, loot boxes.